Brittney Griner is playing a game, and this is what Brittney Griner calls. I was not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
That pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacts to this with Brittney Griner, right? And then
controversy has erupted surrounding Brittney Griner after a game between the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark. Accusations are spreading that Griner used a racial insult directed at Clark during the tense final moments of the matchup. Following the Fever's narrow 81-76 victory, a video began circulating online that allegedly shows Griner saying something offensive as she exited the court. Clark had scored 11 points, while Griner fouled out with only 5 points in 25 minutes of play. Many are interpreting the clip as containing the phrase white girl, sparking a wave of outrage.
The other quote, Rob, then I'm going to wrap this up and then I'm going to go to Adam. Put the quote of Brittney Griner, what she said about the NBA. This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right? She says, this is from Brittney. Every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called a freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game.
Clark, who has drawn massive fan support, appears to be receiving hostility from certain players. This incident has intensified questions around how the league is handling these tensions, when minor physical altercations result in fines, but racially charged remarks go unaddressed. Criticism of the WNBA's leadership grows louder. Many are now asking why Clark is not receiving more protection and respect on the court. The most recent controversy stems from a game that drew attention not for the final score, but for the moment Griner walked off the court. Visibly frustrated after her performance, cameras captured what many believe to be Griner uttering a derogatory remark. Though lip reading isn't an exact science, repeated slow-motion analysis by fans seems to show her saying phrases like trash and white girls.
Defining superstar like a Michael Jordan. Is that the one, Rob? If you can.
I'm looking for the clip.
Yeah,
Okay.
like anyway, so then outside of that, RG3 and comes out and says, man, you know, Caitlin Clark is a superstar and she's, you know, bigger than life and all this stuff. Ryan Clark, out of nowhere, Ryan Clark, who's a commentator, out of nowhere comes out and he says, well, what does RG3 know anything about this? RG3, who was a former quarterback, a great rookie quarterback. Washington, yeah.
Went to Marshall.
The organization currently occupies a challenging short-term position. However, playoff considerations offer some perspective on the broader season outlook. Two primary championship contenders emerge as the main obstacles: the Lynx and Liberty. Should the Fever manage any sustained success, achieving a .500 record might suffice for playoff qualification. Current standings show the team at 2-4, likely becoming 2-6 before key players return. Projecting a potential 2-8 start assumes extended absences, including hypothetical 3-week recovery periods. Such a record would place them near the bottom of standings, but recovery remains mathematically possible. Previous scheduling includes multiple contests against Atlanta and 2 games versus New York. Future challenges likely include losses to Washington, Chicago, and Connecticut. While a 2-8 recovery presents difficulties, it's not unprecedented in professional basketball. The franchise possesses legitimate opportunities to reach the 6th playoff seed from such a deficit. 6th seed opponents would likely include teams like Atlanta, Phoenix, or potentially Las Vegas. The organization would favor their chances against any of these opponents in playoff setting.
He says, what would RG3 know, who's a black man, by the way? He says, what would RG3 know about this? He's married to a white woman. And they're like, wait, what did you say? Ryan Clark says RG3 is married to a white woman. What would he know about all this stuff that's taking place?
He actually said those words.
Are you kidding me?
I swear to you, I haven't heard that.
So, okay, Rob,
what a crappy thing to say.
Can you find this clip where Ryan Clark says, how would he know he's married to a white girl? Is that the clip, Rob?
Yes, sir.
Okay, play this clip. Watch this, Vinny.
We moved in to being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. But he does understand hate, because I think he also understands the hate of self. When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction is the sort of reaction you get in a situation when you feel like you took an intentionally hard
Rob,
foul.
is this the one
That's
where he says
competitiveness? That's rivalry. That's not
RG3 is
hate.
married to a
and
white?
so now, though, when RG3
Yes,
jumps on to the hate train or to the angry train, and now follows along with what we saw from Keith Olbermann, what we saw from Dave.
Playoff format changes may eliminate the previous system where top seeds received consecutive home games before automatic lower seed venue shifts. This adjustment would benefit lower seeded teams significantly. 7th or 8th seed positioning might actually increase championship probability compared to higher playoff placement. The reasoning centers on playoff format differences: first round best of 3 series, second round best of 5, and finals best of 7. The organization's optimal chance against Minnesota or New York would come in best of 3 format rather than extended series. Current struggles might ultimately benefit long-term team development. Playoff qualification remains the primary objective, avoiding lottery positioning while maintaining competitive relevance. The ideal scenario involves playoff participation combined with lottery access, potentially securing a versatile player who complements Aaliyah Boston's skill set. The desired addition would provide defensive capabilities and athleticism alongside Boston, though immediate impact shouldn't be expected. The franchise's attractiveness should continue drawing quality free agents regardless of current struggles. This approach balances immediate competitive needs with future roster construction, offering the highest upside for sustainable success.
Portnoy, as they poured on to Angel Reese to make her the villain in Caitlin Clark's heroic or hero story. Right. The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what Black women have to endure in this country, about what young Black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise and ascension into stardom.
But
now, when you look at it, I think A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. A'ja Wilson.
Who's the face of the league?
He said Angel Reese.
Who did he say is the face of the league?
A'ja Wilson.
Okay, you can pause that.
Yeah.
RG3 responds back. RG3 responds back and says, what is that all about?
The incident is seen by some as revealing a mindset among certain players who feel entitled or superior due to long-standing cultural or racial narratives within the sport. These perspectives can shape attitudes, both on and off the court, sometimes resulting in divisive or inappropriate behavior. As the league works to expand its reach and reputation, such moments become critical in shaping public perception. The controversy has thus become less about a single moment of tension and more about what that moment suggests about treatment, standards, and fairness. Critics of Griner's alleged comments emphasize that sportsmanship should rise above personal or racial identifiers, advocating for respectful competition based on skill and character rather than animosity. The broader takeaway is a call for consistency, transparency, and leadership that truly reflects the values the league claims to uphold.
To Ryan Clark's credit, he apologizes about this. Then Brittney Griner is playing a game, and this is what Brittney Griner calls. I was not going to comment on any of this stuff until this took place. Watch what she says. The entire internet has reacted to this. Here's Brittney Griner. They're playing against the Indiana Fever, and look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
That pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest.
So the whole market reacts to this with Brittney Griner, right? And then the other quote, Rob, then I'm going to wrap this up and then I'm going to go to Adam. Put the quote of Brittney Griner, what she said about the NBA. This is so funny how all this stuff works out, right?
The incident caused a wave of backlash, but it barely touches the deeper issue that remains unaddressed by the WNBA. There's a clear imbalance in how situations are handled. Caitlin Clark and Ryan Howard were both fined $30 for technical fouls during that game, a penalty that amounts to next to nothing in league terms. More than just a minor punishment, it reveals a troubling pattern. Whenever Clark is involved in controversy, the league automatically frames it as mutual, even when she's clearly on the receiving end. Her very involvement seems to trigger assumptions of shared guilt regardless of context. The perception seems to be that her mere presence fuels controversy, so any tension surrounding her must be partly her fault. There were even calls to criticize Indiana Fever supporters, accusing them of mocking Brittney Griner over her past detention in Russia related to cannabis oil. But realistically, it was always likely fans would bring that up. It was naive to think otherwise. This pattern goes beyond financial penalties. Clark is currently the centerpiece of the league's visibility. Her jerseys are flying off shelf. Her matchups are pulling in viewership numbers the WNBA has never experienced. She's the reason games on typically quiet nights are suddenly drawing national interest.
She says, this is from Brittney, every time we play her, there's this commotion, like this loud rumbling from the stands. Turns out it's people, thousands of them, just sitting there, watching on purpose. It's very disruptive. It's called a freaking game that they pay you money to play. Don't play the game. It's very disruptive. It continues. Brittney Griner voiced frustration in a recent interview, claiming that Caitlin Clark is ruining what used to make the WNBA great. Wait for this.
Empty stands?
Tom, let me just.
Go ahead, I'm so mad.
WNBA games used to be a chill, quiet place. You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. But now,
Still, the response to physical plays against her is typically dismissive, matching fines and little else. It sends a message that no matter her impact, she won't be treated any differently, not even when it comes to basic fairness or safety. It suggests that keeping her in check is more important than recognizing her influence. A hypothetical arises: what if the roles were reversed? Imagine if one of the white athletes had used the phrase "effing black girl." The internet reaction would be explosive. Clark, if caught mouthing something even close to that, would be under fire instantly. Now compare that to what actually happens when a well-known figure step over the line. The Griner situation is on video, clearly visible to all, yet the league stays silent. There's quick response for minor in-game conduct, but apparent racial undertones are ignored. This selective action is more than just uneven. It implies certain players can operate without fear of real consequences. That kind of silence doesn't just preserve reputations, it allows behavior to continue unchecked, signaling that accountability applies only to some. The uncomfortable truth is, society permits the use of white boy or white girl freely, but labels like black girl or black boy in the wrong tone draw instant outrage, especially when aimed at adults.
it's like there's a large gathering of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score like we're there for their entertainment. And that's pretty gross.
Well,
Are you
I act like this.
Okay.
Rob,
Rob,
can you verify that this is what she said on the mom and pop WNBA model? That she's sick of the and then she says the whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either about my performance or some light racism.
There's something unsettling in the silence that follows certain actions, especially when prominent figures are involved. If a high-profile athlete like Caitlin Clark had been caught on camera saying something deeply offensive, imagine her muttering a racial slur while walking to the bench. The response or lack thereof wouldn't just reflect on her. It would signal to the entire league and its followers that there are double standards based on fame and status. It would suggest that core values like equality, integrity, and mutual respect are optional, useful for slogans, but not consistently upheld when the stakes are high. New audiences paying attention due to Clark's meteoric rise are observing more than just her on-court talent. They're watching how the WNBA responds in tough moments, how discipline is applied, and whether the league's stated principles hold up under pressure. The perception of fairness isn't just abstract, it's being actively evaluated in real time.
Definitely one of the two. Give me a flipping break.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
like
of
that?
course.
That's incredible.
First of all, I mean, and Adam, I know, Adam, you definitely have something to say, but, and I know Adam, I'm going to piggyback off of Adam because Adam's been saying this for a while, that this is why the WNBA is never, ever, ever going to work and never make money. And this is exactly what Caitlin Clark gets for bending the knee. Do you guys remember when she said, when we lost all respect for her, when she said, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but
Now imagine the outrage if video evidence existed of a slur. Imagine her clearly mouthing something as inflammatory as effing black girls. There would be chaos. To ignore such behavior, especially while being quick to issue fines for physical altercations, exposes a dangerous inconsistency. It sends the wrong signal that racial slurs may not warrant the same scrutiny or consequences. The implications of this are far-reaching. Players take note, so do viewers. And the takeaway becomes painfully clear. Certain individuals may be shielded, regardless of what they do. When discipline fails to match the severity of the situation, especially in racial contexts, it undermines trust. It tells marginalized players and fans that their concerns are negotiable. It also paints a troubling picture that public backlash, even with racially charged overtones like "send her back to Russia," is tolerated when directed at some but would be unimaginable if reversed.
As a white person, there is privilege. And the more we can elevate black women, this is going to be a beautiful thing. That's when it was all over. And Angel Reese and Brittney Griner, they walk around like the league owes them something. Even Ryan Clark's attitude as if, bro, where's the victimhood? These are freaking millionaires. Like, what are you talking about? It's attitude, it's no humility, just entitlement, and that's not confidence, it's arrogance with receipts. Okay, if you want fans, if you want your league to grow, act like a professional, okay? The league already started underwater, and instead of fixing it, they're just poking more holes in the boat. And think about it, Brittney Griner talking all that trash. We traded the merchant of death for your ass, and you're out there talking shit and saying racist shit on the freaking sideline, and it's disgusting. Okay, that's why nobody watches it, and it'll
they're watching it. No, the point is, Vinny.
At that point, the issue becomes more than a temporary PR blunder. The credibility, financial gains, and cultural momentum brought by a player like Clark come under threat. She's not just a rookie breaking into the league. She's a transformative presence. Her influence is measurable in sold-out venues, record-shattering merchandise sales, and unprecedented media engagement. Every broadcast spike and every viral highlight exists because she changed the conversation around women's basketball. But when the league appears hesitant to defend the very person elevating its platform, it jeopardizes all that progress. What's really on the line isn't just one player's reputation, but the future of the league's relationship with its expanding fan base and its moral compass.
If Caitlin Clark goes and is playing, they're watching it. Guess what was just announced yesterday?
What?
Caitlin Clark's injured. She'll be out for 2 weeks.
Good.
Let's see what happens to viewership.
Good.
Let's see what happens to viewership.
But do you think, and I know Adam's going to go, but do you think Caitlin Clark on her own is going to save this thing? There's no way, especially with what she said and how they're all going to eat her alive, because she's a white girl in a league with predominantly black women. And the fact that, by the way, how can you say I'm sitting there and people are yelling, thousands of people? It's distracting.
There is growing speculation that Brittney Griner may have used the words trash, followed by white girl during a heated moment on the court. While exact confirmation of her words remains unclear, the prevailing interpretation among fans and commentators is already shaping public opinion. Within WNBA circles and beyond, there's a strong sense that a significant number of players harbor resentment toward Caitlin Clark, and many observers believe her race plays a role in that dynamic. Clark's presence has undeniably shifted the spotlight onto the WNBA in a way never seen before. She's drawn attention from new audiences, generated media coverage beyond sports headlines, and attracted sponsorships that surpass the league's previous marketing efforts. Her impact isn't just measured in ratings or merchandise sales, it's foundational to the league's newfound relevance.
You're playing basketball in an arena. It doesn't make sense, Tom. They're doomed. They're doomed, and good for them. Adam, how much money did they lose a year?
All of it.
How much? How much?
I mean, it's not even just a year. They've
every year.
Tens of millions of dollars every year.
They're like the Federal Reserve.
Adam, what are your thoughts on this?
So I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do and just trash the WNBA and tell you how horrible of a league it is and what a zombie company it is and how it is just completely toxic feminism with a little bit of racism and completely losing money. I'm not just going to do that, PBD.
I'm glad you didn't even mention it.
Thanks, Adam.
Exactly. I'm also going to tell you that
Clark's appeal is often seen through a particular lens, a young, athletic, traditionally attractive player who has become a cultural icon nearly overnight. Comparisons to greats like Michael Jordan or LeBron James aren't just fan hype, they reflect how quickly she's become the face of the WNBA. For some long-standing players, this abrupt shift in attention feels less like progress and more like erasure. Athletes like Angel Reese and Brittney Griner have made veiled comments suggesting that the attention Clark receives highlights a level of bias that has long gone unspoken. The resentment seems rooted not just in race, but in how fast she rose to prominence and what that says about the audience's interest. The league's failure to publicly defend or support Clark amid moments of conflict, such as the alleged Griner incident, raises critical questions. When the organization chooses to stay silent while its top draw is subjected to controversy or hostility, it undermines her contributions and weakens the league's credibility. Fans who recently became supporters may begin to question whether Clark is being valued properly. If that perception takes hold, the league risks losing the very foundation of its current momentum.
The only reason that we're talking about the WNBA is two reasons. Number one, you know that summer's here, and the NBA, the NHL, football season is pretty much either ending or coming to an or beginning, because all we have left is Tom's favorite sport, Major League Baseball, or WNBA. And this is the reason they played in the summer, because there's nothing else going on. So you know that the WNBA is coming in with that. Number two, we started this conversation with Angel Reese is going to be the second coming of who?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan? Stop it. Okay? Kobe's not Michael Jordan. LeBron's not Michael Jordan. Harold Miner back in the day was never Michael Jordan. Now,
the left-handed Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
This silence doesn't only affect public opinion, it has serious business consequences. Major corporate sponsors require a stable, principled environment before committing long-term resources. When the league appears unwilling to enforce its own values or to protect high-profile athletes from targeted incidents, it damages the brand's integrity. Potential investors and media partners may interpret this as a sign of disorganization or inconsistency, qualities that make them pull back quickly. The deeper risk is reputational. The WNBA has long promoted its commitment to inclusivity, fairness, and anti-discrimination. But when players appear to act in ways that contradict those principles and the league does nothing, that message rings hollow. The optics of inaction can turn fans away and send sponsors in search of safer alternatives. What Clark has done for the league, elevating its reach and transforming public interest, could be undone if these issues aren't addressed transparently and firmly.